Today we're going to learn about force combat and the basics of force combat, so that then you can practice on your own. You don't need to have a specific martial art to do it. We're going to apply it mostly with Wing Chun and Ninjutsu, because we have people mostly from Wing Chun and Ninjutsu here. But it doesn't matter. I will not even once talk about the specific art or the specific tradition we need to do. Force combat is not a martial art style. It's an attitude and a way to use the Qi in whatever you do. This wisdom, when well applied, would allow you to do force cooking and force going to sleep, force riding your bike. It's not, it's not about the martial art. It's just when applied to martial art, and that's how it was developed. It just empowers with your mind and your consciousness pretty much everything you'll do. Okay? So there are a lot of concepts that you've learned in martial arts that you'll have to put aside and forget during the practice, because it's going to go directly, the training part of force combat will go against what you've learned in martial arts, because it's going to inspire you new attitudes, new ways. So just allow yourself to drop out of what you've learned, so then you can come back in what you've learned and apply the force combat techniques. Okay? There are two aspects of force combat. The first aspect is gathering your Qi, packing it up in your body and being able to use it. Okay? So it's not about one-on-one interaction. We'll see this later. First, we need to gather our Qi and learn what is the fundamental rules of Qi-Gong, the practice of Qi, which is not how to put your hands correctly so that you will go like a robot and do exactly what the master says, okay? Because this is not what the way what we usually learn Qigong. Put your hand here exactly. Oh no, your hand is too left, your hand is too right. That doesn't matter in the actual gathering of Qi, in the use of Qigong. So I'm going to tell you the rules of Qigong, on what Qigong is based, and then you will have to improvise. And then that Qigong will follow your body, your movement, instead of the art of Qigong that was practiced by Chinese old men 600 years ago, who developed techniques to their culture, adapted to their body and their ways of living, which is still good today. However, for force combat, you need to drop out of rules. You can't be in a rule set to do force combat. So the way we do Qigong is not doing any kind of technique. We learn the basics, then we do it, okay? The space you're going to need, could you stand up? The space you're going to need usually is one rotation of the helicopter and not touch anyone. Okay, so if there's no one around you, so you see, Captain Sirkin, you might want to find another position. Yeah, don't worry, just make sure the angle of the camera is good. Okay? Just make sure that you're okay. You'll be okay. Now, come here, Terry. When we're in a crowd, this also works, okay? Take your place. Just make sure that you have people around you, and it's all about awareness. We'll have to close this. Good, just because it's making a lot of noise, and we want to record the wisdom as clearly as we can. So, before we do this kind of training, you need to know basic things about getting your consciousness in your body and getting consciousness somewhere else. So, integration and transmigration are two arts essential to understand it. So if you want to practice this and you don't agree with integration and you don't agree with transmigration, which is wisdom I've already taught in other seminars, you won't be able to do force combat, because it's about applying this into combat. Okay? So you get your consciousness in your body by paying attention. We want to have both your hands on the abdomen and your feet are just comfortable. Okay? What's the exact width, shoulder width? I mean, if you're comfortable like this, just do like Brian. Just stand back. Okay? So comfortable. Alright? Consider that your senses, the hands, the eyes, the ears, the information that your nervous system gives you is always about the outside. So obviously if you have your eyes open when you do the focus of consciousness, it's harder because your eyes see outside, your consciousness wants to go outside to whatever you see. So we close our eyes usually. And then closing the eyes, it's easier to get the consciousness inside. However, because of this training, I want you to open your eyes. Keep as much intention inside your abdomen and inside you as when you have the eyes closed, but open your eyes. And just take the information that comes from the outside, but stay as focused. So the first thing we want to do in forced combat is to be able to remain fully absorbed in consciousness while actually interacting outside, which usually is what makes us stop being conscious inside. The fact that we have an outside interaction, so we lose the power of being in charge at the level of Qi. So you have to become agile, I would say, at being fully conscious of what you are while also fully interacting outside, to get both. So now we're going to do a practice. You pay attention inside, eyes closed. And you go into the natural reflex of cutting yourself out of the world. You go into incarnation, presence. You sink into your body. Now open your eyes. Stay in that state and look. When you open your eyes, naturally the attention inside you drops. So look around, pay attention to things. Don't just open your eyes, look at things, pay attention outside, and notice the inner attention is slowly dropping. It's a natural process. Okay? So to be conscious of that process of the consciousness being projected outside is what makes you lose your power when you do anything. Okay? It's the fact that your power is not inside again. So the ability to keep yourself conscious here and on whatever you work as a single event, instead of acting or feeling in separation. I'm doing meditation, it's just about me. I'm doing work, it's just about the work. I'm doing combat, it's just about the combat. Just to be outside of yourself. Instead, try to go back inside. Now close your eyes. You're inside, you open up, and you start to move your feet, but stay focused inside. Have this kind of quality. It's normal for the consciousness to fade in you a bit and go to the outside, but try not to lose it completely, okay? So that will allow you, just by moving a bit like this, to stay conscious of what's inside you and not lose that Qi resource, okay? So staying conscious in unity, inside and outside, as a single event. It's not two things. I'm paying attention inside and I'm paying attention to outside, which is another thing. But simply go into the unified consciousness, I'm paying attention. And inside is not separated from the outside. Okay, so that's an attitude to develop, so that when you go to work, you're still conscious of yourself and the work, because it's one stream of consciousness. It's not separated. Okay, that takes a lot of practice. So we're not going to practice today. It's just something I'm going to remind you. Inside and outside is the same, or one consciousness everywhere. I'm going to try to trigger this. That's what allows you to stay tapped into your Qi reserve, regardless of what you do, because you're always in there. So if you separate completely, then you don't have access to your spiritual or supernatural resource inside, because you're cut off. So you need to do a lot of practice of being conscious inside, and be good at something at your work, or in combat, or in your daily life at the things you do, and do both, to eventually be walking in a state of meditation but not transcending, to exist incarnate as a spiritual being and not just as an animal that sometimes goes into meditation. Okay, so it's a way of life, so that when you get actually to a forced combat scenario, training or actual real life, you're connected. You can't just say, when I have a real combat myself, I'll just have to stay connected. No, it doesn't work. You need to train the behavior when you do your martial art. So when you get back to the dojo at your own training place, you try to practice this. Just the attitude, I'm still conscious of myself while I'm conscious of the other, because it's just one thing. And see how your mind is stuck with the idea, that is one thing, and that is one thing. To separate it. So it's just one thing. It's all that. It's me, the others, the environment. So instead of the training, I have to pay attention to him or the assailant, I have to pay attention to myself, I have to pay attention to my feet, then the environment, I have to look. There's so much thing to pay attention. Well, no, that's the difficult way to do it. It is so easy to pay attention. There's only one thing to pay attention, and that one thing is everything. So it's an attitude to discover how naturally you go into a separated contemplation. Okay? So the oneness of the experience is primordial in any kind of Qi gathering, efficient Qi gathering, and forced combat. I'm going to teach you a mantra now. Usually you'll have a lot of wisdom in the Partiva Yoga training of the 5 syllables, or we call it the 5 bija mantra. Om, Ah, Hum, Ri, Tram. Okay? I don't have anything to write on right now, but I'm going to spell it. Om. Okay, like on the third eye. Om. Ah, it's A-H. Ah. Hum is H-U-M, like in Om Mani Padme Hum. Ri, H-R-I, which elevates the energy, just sets fire. And Tram is what brings it down, T-R-A-M. Okay? Ah, Hum, Ri, Tram. Okay? And it's present in various traditions, mostly Hinduism and Buddhism. And it's a mantra that we think to take the spiritual energy, Om, and bring it into something that my human can understand, Ah, and I start to live it and feel it in my guts, Hum, to set fire on myself, or to empower myself, Ri, and to bring it in the world, or on earth, Tram, okay? So, Tram, just sink in. So, Om Hum Ri Tram is the mantra that we practice in the forced combat, okay? So, hands on the abdomen, feet comfortable, and relax. And you still look at everything outside, but you do in your mind, silently in your mind, Om Hum Ri Tram. No violence. It's not the Om Hum Ri Tram like I saw some martial artists do to bring it more martial. Om Hum Ri Tram. There's no violence in forced combat. There is power. And you need to distinguish the difference between violence and power. Okay? Power is application of force with no intention. Violence has an intention of hurting or cutting. Okay? So in various martial arts, keep consciousness of yourself while you pay attention to my teaching. Okay? And Om Hum Ri Tram as you can do it. In martial arts, you're taught that you will not successfully hurt the others if you do not have the will to hurt the other. And in Kendo, you need to build the feeling, I will cut you. Okay? So that is an intention to make you bypass your fear of hurting the other. Okay? That's very good. However, in forced combat, you have to drop out of this mindset. I am powerful. I'm going to apply force. It's not about I'm going to hurt the other. You have no judgment or intention of what you're actually going to do to the other. You're just going to apply force in an efficient way to achieve an objective. But there's nothing about it's going to hurt you, you're going to suffer, you're going to pay, you asshole, you shouldn't have done that, and all the judgment of why you have to do it. You just go and boom, apply force. Okay, so you see the attitude? In martial art, they teach us from the base, if you have no intention to go and hurt, if you're not driven by this power to fight, you will not succeed. I agree. That's because usually we're stuck with fear of hurting, the shame of that violence, or sometimes the pride of I'm better than you, I'm going to kick your ass. Okay, so we're stuck with denial. So we need to bypass this denial with a focus. I will cut you away, and then you go with your blade or with your hands. Okay. Now drop out of this. Recognize this in yourself. Now do integration. Breathe. That part of you that wants to have an intention in the actual application of the art. Okay? And you'll see yourself personally involved. That cuts you off from the Qi. Because when you do this, I will cut you. And you're not in yourself anymore. It's over. You're all in the action. So, I will apply force. I am powerful. You're still here. I am applying force. It's about you. It's not about the other. The other is just the target of what you do. Okay? So that's basically what Om Mahomri Tram means. It's much more complex than that, but layman, it means Om. All the energy, Ha, I have it myself, it's mine. The universal energy is also my energy, Ah. I feel it, Hum. I am empowered, Hari, and I incarnate in my body. I transmit it. It goes through my physical body, Tram, okay? So a gentle contemplation, 30 seconds. Om Mahomri Tram. Good. Okay. So the practice of the contemplation of that mantra in meditation applied to force combat is when you go in meditation and you cross your legs and you isolate and you focus on the coming in of that power, builds up your chi, okay, just by contemplation. We're going to do other techniques that requires physical movements to build up the chi, but the attitude itself and the contemplation builds us just a mantra, and the practice of that consciousness fills me up. I am powerful and I can apply force with the Ritram, the final Ritram. Just going to put my mala here. And cultivate Om Mahomri Tram, do your integration and your observation of yourself and your attitude when you apply force. If you're efficient at applying force in a punch when you're filled with rage and power, angry and aggressive to hurt, you can do exactly the same thing by being focused and simply very competent in what you do, instead of having this inner motivation of hatred or anger. Okay? If you go into the hippie philosophy of peace, you have to be peaceful and relaxed to fight. I'm sorry, you're gonna get your butt kicked. Okay? You need to be empowered and in charge to fight. There is peace. But the peaceful to be at peace in combat is not to be free of power, it's to be free of intention, of violence. But you still need the power. So don't go peaceful, peaceful and relaxed, and no one hates anyone, and everything is cool in the universe, because that's a lie. Okay? If you have to go into a real life combat, you can't go relaxed. You need to be efficiently empowered and stressed, and you can't go think like we do in dojos. We do this for fun, it's just for pleasure. Yes, I agree, but your force will not go through, because you still need the will to apply that force. Okay? So peace is the absence of intention and judgment of what you're doing. It's not the absence of power, and it's not to go into a relaxed state where all your muscles are so relaxed to the point that you could go to sleep and very relaxed. In the dojo we say relax, but we don't say lie on the floor and pass out for an hour because it's so cool. Relax, it's so peaceful. Combat, I love it. It's just too heavy. Okay? So the New Age philosophy of combat is peaceful, it's beautiful. No, it's an ugly business. It's something that is raw and that is hard, and we need to go in this without judgment, without violence. So that's what you want to observe. Okay? Does that go so far? About the attitude? Okay? Okay? Qigong. Now that we understand, and we will practice later on, the attitude of force combat, we need to know how to gather our Qi. So before we gather our Qi, we'll learn the basic rules of Qigong without a specific set of 34 or 44 or 108 movements. We're just going to do the basic things just for you to get it, and then you'll improvise. So first movement, to initiate a convection or a movement of Qi, is the paintbrush. Okay? So regardless of the position of your feet, let's say you move left hand in the back, palm on the spine, okay? And your right hand is in front, right foot in front, just to have this right thing. And you paint in the sense that wherever you go, your fingers are flowing backwards, okay? So you're not going like this, you're really make sure that your fingers really bend that to get the attitude of the flowing, and you accelerate and slow down. Okay? Can you feel your chi in that? Okay? The goal is to just convect. Okay? And you're loose. Alright, now bring it down, and when you bring it down, you just go palm down. Alright. Left. And down. Okay. So you got that. See in your hands? I know that you have practiced Qigong and energy. You see your hands filled with Qi just because you allowed it to start to initiate a process. Okay? The painting is to initiate a process. So now we do two hands. You lift and you start to drop, and you have to slow down. Now here's the thing with the speed. The faster you go, the more Qi that you lose that is not in you. Okay? It's like if you take a paintbrush and you go too fast, you're going to lose too much paint at one point behind, and you're just going to do a few streaky lines, ugly. You need to follow the speed of the paint when you paint, so you need to follow the speed of the Qi, so you go very slow. You feel your Qi as it oozes out of your hand while doing the paintbrush, so you'll accelerate and see, I'm starting to lose it. Let's say for me it's, okay, I lose it when I go very fast, so I need to slow down again. So that's with the speed of the movement, is to see how much you'll have the feeling of the Qi. The goal is to stay focused on the Qi. Okay? The more you feel your Qi, the better it is. So if you go too fast, you lose it. It's like goo oozing out of your hands. And if you lose it, it's just going to drop. So just finish it. You got that feeling? Alright, everyone? Alright. So that's the feeling of the paintbrush, is to initiate the flowing of the Qi in your hands and arms. And in your body, eventually, you'll have the footstep. I'm not going to talk about the footsteps a lot, but I'm not fixed when I paintbrush. I also will follow. And eventually, as you do martial arts, you'll have the stances, and you'll naturally flow with your legs. Depending on how much training you got in which tradition. Okay? It's okay. If you're in ninjutsu, you'll be stronger rooted. If you're in Wing Chun, you'll be more like inside and stuff like that. Order stance style. Okay, so it's just going to come with time. Breathe and relax. Tension inside. Oma Humri Tram. To get back to your center, I say 30 seconds, but usually it's 3 slow breaths. So the attitude is not empowering the Qi to make it strong, it's just paying attention and knowing it naturally is there. Good. We initiate, now just look, we initiate the Qi movement and the convection with the hands. When we do it with the hands, with the paintbrush, it starts to activate in all our body. Do you feel the Qi everywhere? Okay? This allows the flow. It affects all the, let's say, the channels inside you. Meridians, the tubes, the nadis, whatever you call it. The entire pipe work inside starts to just flow because you're making it flow as a symbol with your hands. Whatever you do with your hands and incarnate with your legs will allow it to happen in the body as a whole. Okay? Now, once you've got this Qi moving, the push, we will do one single movement of paintbrush to initiate, and then it's push. Push is your palm is always facing the direction, and it's not a relaxed hand, it's not a tight, violent hand, it's a slightly charged with intention hand, where your fingers are separated. This is not martial art where you keep your fingers closed because you don't want someone to grab a finger. This is Qigong, where you want to have your fingers slightly separated, slightly bent, not straight, not tight, just slightly bent, and you push. So you just paint a bit and start to push. Now move it. And you move it with both your hands. paintbrush out, and back. I forgot something that is, I didn't feel that was useful for you, but I think those people in video should try it. Left hand in the back, just one hand. 2 or 5 seconds of the paintbrushing, and push. And you pull. We call this pushing the sandbag. So you push the sandbag out and you bring it back. But it's not a bag, it's just sand. So as long as you feel your chi, the better it is. Whatever direction you go, just keep focused on your chi. If you go fast, you lose too much sand. You're not pushing it. If you go slow, you have more accumulation. Okay? So this is what you want to do. Now paintbrush out. Let it flow. Right hand on the back, left hand. Initiate the flow and start to push whatever you paintbrush it out. Now you're pushing and you feel more pressure by the chi. That practice is just to allow you to pay attention to how much chi you can push and still be conscious of. Okay? Paintbrush out, just leave it and back. Okay? Again, just a few seconds, we'll do both. I'll get it to the center, paintbrush it out, and back. Okay. Why do we paintbrush out? Paintbrush is the flowing and convection. So we flow and convect and start to pack it, and once we've got it packed, if we just leave it, it's going to stay there. You're going to lose it. It's not going to flow back in your system. It's just going to be stuck here. So I get back, my chi's still there. I go in, start to lose it. I'm going to be gathered. Now it's still my chi again. I repaint it. Now it's reconvecting into me. Okay? So the I remain the center of my convection of chi. Of course, that is not absolutely accurate because it's also convecting in nature with your chi and whatever is in nature around you. Okay? So in time you'll get the feeling it's just one experience of chi. But if you separate it and leave it there, it's going to stay there. Okay? So, convect it, then move it around, then pack it. Okay? So this one we do with both hands to start. We convect it, initiate a convection, start to gather, and now you'll just bring your hands wide and back in the center. And go and feel it, you push it more to the point you make a 2-inch ball. And you got your ball right there. Hold it. If you lose your consciousness, hold it, push it in one hand and hold it like I do. Just, okay, reconvect it. Look at it because you're all stuck in something instead of watching me, so I'm going to show you what I mean. You convect it, push and gather. It's a ball. Okay? And that ball, if I lose consciousness of it, it starts to ooze out and lose its density. Okay? So what I do is just punch it and reflow. So what I want to do now is everyone will pack a ball. It's not closed hand, it's not fully open like this, it's just to the point where you know you have this ball. And everyone, you'll be able to touch your ball. Don't get it out of context. You'll be able to touch your own chi ball, and you'll have it touched by other students, okay? So, convect, go ahead, start to gather, push, little expiration. When you finish your ball, just a little impact, and then you got it. So, keep your focus on your ball, not to lose it. This is very good. No, it's still there in the back, but not the top. You're good, you're good, you're good. Okay? Now, you're going to make it lose its density by punching it with the index. Okay? Like this. Punch it, paintbrush. It goes poof, and it loses density. So that training is to learn all the little basic things about how to actually handle chi. When you want it to become hard, you need to have a hard experience. Again, don't take this out of context with your ball. So, I love humor, it's good. So, you just convect, push, so, if you do it with the voice like me each time, you're going to have no voice at the end of the day. So just go, Okay? But at the moment of the impact, if you go like one where you did just and still compacting, so it's not timed. The timing is convect, pack, pack, ha! At the moment of the impact, that is how the ball is solid. At exactly that moment, you got hard in your chi here. You defined it, you made it, you defined something, you put an idea, a consciousness there. That is hard, now. Boom. Now it holds its hardness. He. Now it can just go like this. Okay? Come and touch it. It's just 2 fingers. Come and touch it. Okay? It's still there. Okay, you feel it? Feel it. Try to get it. Now you don't have my fingers, but do you still feel it? Okay. It's right there. Okay? Just re-grab it. Okay, got it? Okay, I'm losing it. It's still there. It's an autonomous thing, but it falls because I left it down. Now you touch it. It's just moving around. Try it. Okay, you got it. And then. Okay, that's it. So you see this idea, if you know how to compact a charge of chi, first of all, anyone looking at this is like, is he freaking serious? I mean, there's nothing there, come on. He's just waving his hands and then he says, touch, you feel the ball. And they're enslaved in their mind. They say, yes, master, we feel the ball of the master. Don't guess it out of context. So, the thing is, you feel chi a lot. And you know, and I see in the face of Brian, he didn't get it because he was afraid of it. He just stayed at 6 inch, like, yeah, I'm not sure I want to really touch that. Chi, it's just insecure, relating to what I told you this morning about that's your power and how afraid you are of having it, okay? So the more you discover in your ego that you have this kind of power, the more it's going to freak you out, okay? So you'll have naturally something resisting this force combat thing because it's not natural, it is supernatural and it is frightening, okay? We got it so far? So, just watch. There's initiate the convection or the movement, and then you start to gather and you pack, and then we're going to learn to do something with that. Okay, we're going to pack it and reinfuse it into us as hard chi. Now the soft chi is the flowing, but you can put in your body hard chi. There's 2 ways to do it: ingesting through the breath, okay, so through the mouth and the nose, or to pack it directly in the muscles, like I'll show you later on today. Okay. So the first thing, and ta, okay, T-A, or A-T-H-A, which is a ta, is the way to make dense and compact some chi. So look how I do it. Start initiating chi and gather around. Now, that is power, that's hard chi, and I will reconvert it to breath. If I blow on it with intention, starts to go away, like if I had paintbrush it out. Now let's say I will use that wind, but in the other direction. That hard chi reflows into my system because wind, breath, affects chi as much as chi is affected by wind. It affects it also. Okay, it's both directions. So by blowing on it, it makes it diffuse, which explains why sometimes I just go like that. I have so much chi in my hands always flowing, or if I feel density gathering on me, I'll just go like this. Blowing my hand, the density all over my body can go and start to fall off, okay? So that's the reason. The air will also, the air is like the paintbrush thing, okay? The soft going about. Good so far? So we're going to do the Atta sphere by going into convection, everyone. Start to gather. Move, move, move. Go into it, start compact, start to compact, and make that sphere. To your mouth, breathe it in. Pay attention. You see that chi goes to your head, goes down, and starts to flow through your system, like blood in your body.
Are you letting it go on its own,
Just look at it. Once you breathe it in, it's going to follow the natural chi channels that you have. Just going to flow in. So you got that? You felt it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you, Ron? All right. So, break time. We need to take 5 minutes breaks once in a while.
Rush.
Yeah.
Wow. Just got high.
Hi,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so,